Hi, it's Dr. Sam Robbins. This week's coaching session is about a very important topic that affects almost all of us at some point in our lives, but some people more than others, and that's stress. More specifically, stress-related emotions such as depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and even insomnia. In a minute, I'll reveal why and how your body is creating these negative emotions, and more importantly, how you can easily, quickly, and naturally fix this, and hopefully even help eliminate depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and insomnia. And just to let you know, you're not alone. This will be easy to do, and there is hope. Now, just a little quick background about me. My area of expertise is in endocrinology, and simply stated, that's the study of hormones and how they affect both how you look and feel. For example, why someone is skinny or fat, or how one person ages poorly and looks old, while another, still looks and feels young even at age 50 or 60 and beyond. And more specifically in today's discussion, why one person is usually happy while another typically gets stressed out easily and feels negative emotions like depression or anxiety or panic attacks and can't sleep well at nights. And it's actually very interesting, has fascinated me for over 20 years because most of this is almost always related to genetics and your hormones and brain neurotransmitters. Now the great part is that with simple and minor adjustments, you can make dramatic improvements in both how you look and feel, sometimes almost instantly. Unfortunately, in today's society, when dealing with these emotions, people usually turn to drugs. Whether it's prescription drugs such as Xanax for anxiety and panic attacks, or Prozac for depression, or Ambien for sleep, or dozens of similar drugs, or over-the-counter drugs such as alcohol, caffeine, tobacco, or even food. And yes, food can be just as powerful and addictive as drugs. Of course, my goal for today is to show you how you can get control over all this by utilizing natural solutions and not have to rely on addictive and harmful drugs. And if you're currently taking drugs, hopefully you can get off of them and not become reliant on them, as so many of my clients have over the past decade. So let's get started. The first question is, why is this happening to me, right? What's the cause of it? And as stated earlier, it's a combination of genetics, hormones, and neurotransmitters. Some people are just genetically happy-go-lucky people, right? I'm sure you know some people in your life who are typically positive individuals. Even when something really bad happens to them, their brains don't focus on the problem or make it 10 times bigger than it really is. And they aren't in denial or they're not being fake. Their body simply does not produce high amounts of these negative hormones, which I'll discuss in a minute. Then we have the typical complainers, right? People who are usually worrying, they're negative, they're sad, they have anxiety or panic attacks, and even the smallest amount of stress in life sets them off. And I'm sure you can think of some people in your own life who are like this, heck, maybe even yourself. And the reason for this is they tend to produce higher amounts of these negative hormones, and their body's genetic is also very sensitive. So any tiny amount of stress and it feels like the world is ending, right? They can't help but make a mountain out of a molehill. Now, I've mentioned hormones a few times, and without getting too specific or medical on you, the primary hormones and neurotransmitters that typically control how we feel are, the first one is cortisol, which is a stress hormone, dopamine, which controls your mood, your sexual desire and inhibition, serotonin, which controls depression and anxiety, and finally your sex hormones, which is testosterone and estrogen, and all these hormones and neurotransmitters we all have. For example, some form of stress happens, your body for one reason or another creates high levels of cortisol, right? It's under stress, which then creates a fight or flight trigger in your body by lowering dopamine, serotonin, and testosterone levels, and the outcome is you become irritable and moody, tired and listless, your heart beats faster and blood pressure goes up, your sex drive goes down, you start to crave foods that are salty, sugary, and fatty, and you start to just feel hopeless, right? And if you don't do something to fix this, your body almost gets stuck in this negative state, and after a few weeks or months of stress, you notice you look and feel older, right? Maybe more fat around the belly, more wrinkles or fine lines on your face, more gray hairs or thinning of the hair, more aches and pains, you're not sleeping well, and your brain is just foggy, and you've lost that motivation and hope about life. Basically, your body is aging faster. Now, have you ever noticed that during times of stress you tend to crave junk foods or you need more caffeine, like from energy drinks or coffee. Now this is because these products, carbohydrates, sugars, fat, salt, and caffeine, all work by increasing serotonin. Remember earlier I said they do this by increasing serotonin temporarily. But unfortunately, your body crashes a few hours later, and you're just as bad as before, if not even worse, and hence the addiction. Or, people take prescription drugs which numbs them, and they don't feel up or down. They just kind of feel blah, which is certainly no way to live life. You're now just surviving life, getting through it. Of course, neither are good long-term solutions, and worst of all, both scenarios create long-term addictions. Well, about 14 or 15 years ago, I started to see changes in my own family and even myself due to all the, stress. So a little family history about me. My grandmother on my mom's side has 8 children. Yeah, 3 boys and 5 girls. What I realized one day was just how different 5 of the children were compared to the other 3. The 5 that were usually stressed out, angry, uptight, negative complainers, right? Who typically worried the most, who typically worried most of the time, get this, they all had some sort of major illness or disease. One uncle has leukemia, another aunt breast cancer, another aunt colon cancer, another uncle prostate cancer, and another aunt Parkinson's disease. While the 3 other children, one of them being my own mother, were all perfectly healthy, 0 problems. So what I realized was a few things. First, age had nothing to do with it because the older children were not the only ones with the problems. The 2 youngest children had prostate cancer and Parkinson's disease. Money wasn't a factor either, since the richest and also the poorest had an illness, right? Location didn't matter, since they all, have lived near, each other, their entire lives in the same city. The sex didn't matter either, because both the males and the females had problems. Now I can get into more details, and I know this isn't very scientifically, but there was a pattern. And I realized it with my own mother due to some stressful situations because of money, and then problems with her marriage with my dad started affecting her health too. During a 1-year time, my mom was dealing with a lot of stress, and her outlook changed completely, right? She started being negative, worrying all the time. She started having, panic attacks, and within a 12-month time period, she looked like she had aged 10 years. I'm not kidding. And she started having all sorts of health problems. Cholesterol, went up, heart problems, high blood pressure, colon and digestive issues. She started gaining weight, had memory, problems, joint pain, hair loss. The list goes on and on. And it was really true. Stress really does kill. And she was just dying faster. And I had to find some solution because, the stupid drugs her doctor was prescribing her wasn't doing anything positive. It was just basically managing the problem and postponing the inevitable. What I did was I told her to slowly get off the prescription drugs because we didn't want any negative withdrawal since these drugs were addictive. So we detoxed her body over the next 3 or 4 months while I took time to research natural solutions. And yes, it was a rough 3 or 4 months, but something great came out of all this. First, she started to look and feel better. Second, we finally found all natural solutions. Now, to make a long story short, here's what I discovered and what's worked for, great for her and thousands of other clients over the past decade. And you can do this as well. First, I had her reduce or eliminate sugar, dairy, gluten, yeast, and processed foods. That meant no more caffeine either. And I know this is a lot, but all these foods all pretty much screw around with your hormones and make things worse. Second, I told her to get out, get outside more, get more sun and more sunshine. We're all out indoors most of the day, spending so much time behind the desk, the computers, that we aren't getting enough sun, both on our skins and through our eyes. And that's why people in cold, gloomy climates are usually depressed and have the highest suicide rates versus tropical climates. Third, I told her to exercise, even if it's just for 20 or 30 minutes, of walking or 3 or 4 times a week. So I told her to get outside during the day to get the sun and exercise at the same time. Now, even though the above is fairly simple to do, it does take time to change your lifestyle. So I completely understand it takes time to create new habits. But small changes every week will lead to big improvements over time. In fact, in a minute, I'll show you how you can get a free access to my members-only newsletter, which will give you more details about all of this since I just don't have time in today's video. But the biggest change came when I gave my mom various vitamins, amino acids, and herbs. then things really improved because her body was just lacking in them. People who are naturally happy don't have to worry about this. But because of her stress level, maybe your own stress level, basically she was depleted, and within days and sometimes hours, her mood dramatically changed when I gave her these ingredients, and she became happy and confident again. Week after week, she became more alive, she became more vibrant, and she found her smile again. And here's what she took, and here's what you can do as well. Okay, first of all, vitamin D. This is what I told her to take, get more sun in the first place, because this is a powerful vitamin and most people are just low in it. So this is one vitamin you can take. It's really most underrated vitamin I know in the world, and it's really, really inexpensive and cheap. So you really have no reason not to take it. Next is Phenobot, and this is an incredible amino acid derivative with over half a century of clinical use in Europe and Russia, which is proven to elevate your mood, increase your dopamine levels, improve your memory, and increase your sexual desire. Plus, it helps lower that cortisol hormone, that stress hormone. It's fantastic, and it works great. Next ingredient is called 5-HTP, which is another amino acid and has been used for decades in Europe and America to treat depression and insomnia. It's also great for helping eliminate food and sugar cravings. Next is St. John's wort, which is used by over 35 million people in Germany alone to treat depression. In fact, in one study, it was proven to be just as effective as antidepressant drugs, but without negative side effects or addiction. Next, herbs are passion flower, kava, and valerian root. These three will dramatically help reduce anxiety and thoughts of worry. They help calm the mind and help you get focused. Another one, and the final one, is called inositol, which is a special B vitamin, has 29 clinical studies showing that it's effective against panic disorders and can dramatically reduce the frequency and severity of panic attacks. So some great natural herbs and ingredients. Now, as stated, these above ingredients that I just listed, they're all natural, they're clinically proven, have a long track record of safety and effectiveness. But the secret is that there is a synergy when you take the above formula together. Taking one ingredient by itself creates an imbalance. The body works like a well-oiled machine in one unit. Therefore, you need to balance out everything together. Like a world-class chef and a perfect recipe, you need specific ingredients in specific amounts and combinations. And it took a few months of testing on my poor mother to finally make sure that the formula was balanced and just right. As my mom's body and mind improved, I started sharing this formula with friends and family, then private clients, and as the positive feedback kept coming back to me, I knew I had something very useful for those who've had to deal with stress and depression, anxiety, and other relating feelings for so many days and weeks. So what I've done is, in fact, I personally take this formula myself about 2 or 3 times a week before bed so I can get a really deep, restful sleep. Unfortunately, because I work a lot, my mind is always racing and thinking, so sometimes it's hard for me to fall asleep and stay asleep late at night. Maybe you have the same problem. Anyway, the good news for you is that I put together the specific proprietary formula in an all-natural product called ProVanax, and it's available to the public exclusively through this website only. Now, I'm not going to give you some huge sales pitch or twist your arm to try ProVanax. It was developed for my own mother. My family and friends use it. Thousands of clients over the past 12 years have utilized it to deal with short or long-term bouts of depression or anxiety, panic attacks, or simply for getting a good night's sleep, which is what I use it for. Young and old, men and women, all deal with some sort of stress-related problems daily. ProVanax really helps you get through the day and feel good again. So take a look at the website, if you want more details so you can make an informed decision. Make sure you also take a look at the customer reviews and feedback. Of course, if the product doesn't work, you can send it back for a full refund. We've been on the internet since 1999, so you have nothing to worry about. But keep one thing in mind. This situation usually doesn't fix itself, and you already know this. And because of aging, changing in hormones, and more day-to-day stress, more pressure, money, and family problems, things usually only get worse. Wouldn't you agree? So do yourself a favor. It's time to give back to yourself. Try ProVanax risk-free, and then let me know how you like it and how it's helped your life. And at the very least, if you don't try ProVanax, do something natural. Don't take drugs. They're addictive. In fact, when you get ProVanax, you'll also get access to my members-only newsletter where I'll continue to give you more methods and proven tactics for living a happier and healthier life. You know, the goal should be to live life, not just survive it or get through the day. ProVanax can help you as it's helped thousands of other people. So give ProVanax a risk-free try today before you miss Friday's deadline, and then email me your results and let me know how you're doing. I think it's about time, to finally take control of this part of your life. You owe it to yourself, and you won't regret it. Thanks for listening. Stay happy and healthy, and have a fantastic day.